Yeah, alright. I guess we do requests now. Recently, I've been dabbling with the idea of doing a completely a cappella Sins video for Pitch Perfect. That means that 100% of the sound effects I normally use in my videos would be replaced with sounds I've made with my mouth. I really wanted to do that, but then I realised that to do that I'd probably have to watch Pitch Perfect, and I didn't want to do that, so instead I'm doing the same thing for Watchmen. So, without further ado, here's everything wrong with Watchmen. A cappella. Boom, boom, boom.
Critics who prophesize with your pen.
Boom. I'll be honest, I love this movie to death, so if you want a non-biased assessment of a Sins video, then maybe this isn't the best Sins video to you. That said, I will try to remain subjective for the course of this, I'm just not making any promises.
Movie gets the best Nixon impersonator they could find at your local bar at 3 a.m.
You criticize this movie, fuck you! Bing!
Credits shot decides to remind me of Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, for some reason.
This movie had a plane in it, that movie had a plane in it, and apparently that's a sin. Bing!
A comedian died in New York. Somebody knows why.
The placement of the black square I've added to this image should be enough information for you to figure out yourself why I'm sinning this. Bing! I mean, sure, there's nothing wrong with a pants bulge. When you can specifically identify different parts of, what's going on in there, that's when you've taken it a bit too far.
Maybe someone's picking off costumed heroes.
So the non-costume heroes are getting off scot-free?
Not necessarily. There was a tiny leap in logic you made there, which is a common logical fallacy. I'm not going to spend time explaining what it is, because I don't like making videos that are boring. Bing!
Giant blue ass will not fully prepare you for all the blue nudity you're about to consume in this movie.
I guess you could call it bludity. That's not a sin, I just wanted to say bludity.
You might think I'm going to sin the fact that Cares Not Dr. Manhattan is a dick, but instead I'm actually sinning the decision to use 99 Left Balloons as the soundtrack for said dickness. Also, even though history took a major detour to the Minutemen and the Watchmen, 99 Left Balloons still exists.
So, just to be clear, you're sinning this because they used a song that exists in the real world. You know, I heard that they did look for a song that doesn't exist in the real world, but they struggled to find any. Bing! Also, just because a song exists in the soundtrack of a movie doesn't mean that that song also exists within the context of that movie's reality. And by that same logic, no movie about dinosaurs should have any kind of soundtrack short of Birdsong. Bing!
Straight up murder, and somehow Dr. Manhattan did nothing to stop it.
Yes, it's almost like the characters in this movie aren't just 2D caricatures and instead have complex motives and affiliations. Bing!
Somehow this society is so f***ing angry at superheroes they're burning them in effigy. Thanks for saving our lives, repeatedly, now die!
So just to be clear, Jeremy just saw a movie showing him a situation in which a group of Americans formed a protest and rioted against a group of people who fight crime because a small proportion of that group of crime fighters are murderous scumbags. Jeremy saw all that and then decided, you know what, this is too unrealistic, it needs a sin. Bing. If only the events of this movie beared more resemblance to what's going on in the real world.
Dr. Manhattan definitely has too many dicks on the dance floor.
Come on, Jeremy, there are 4 bright blue glowing penises on the screen and that's the best joke you can come up with. You have a team of writers! Bing.
So while he's sitting on the bed next to her bra missing her, does he still have 3 other hymns out there working on his research?
Was mentioning that there's a bra there really important to conveying the message of that sin, or did you just want to say bra? Because I think you just wanted to say bra. I also just want to say bra. Bra. Bing.
I said, leave me alone!
Jesus, does Dr. Manhattan know everybody's address? Or did those people all die? Or are they on Vulcan right now? Or what?
That's not a sin, that's a question. I mean, come on, it would be completely reasonable for all those people to just be outside somewhere or anywhere. Bing.
Pretty sure this is a flashback within a flashback within a flashback. But even if it isn't, the fact that I think it is suggests a problem with the movie's concept of time.
Well, Dr. Manhattan is a character who experiences time in a non-linear way.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
The way this movie treats the progression of time is effectively the closest we're ever going to get to experiencing the world from Dr. Manhattan's perspective. Bing. Also, quick side note, that clip I just used there, the wibbly-wobbly timey-wimey one, have you ever seen that clip dubbed into German? Because it is something very special.
Subjektiven Punkt betrachtet ist sie mehr wie ein großer Ball aus Schnibbidi-Schnick, wibbelig-wabbeligem Zeugs.
I see he finally decided to cover up his dick, for now at least. How did that conversation go? Dr. Manhattan, we'd love your input on military endeavors, but our scientists find your large blue penis, distracting. This is straight up murder, but the guy doesn't die, so it's all okay.
If no one dies, it is rarely murder. Bing! For God's sake. I've told you this or things similar to this multiple times now. The characters in this movie are supposed to be flawed. Stop sending this movie for the characters' flaws. Bing! Not only are the character flaws supposed to be there, they greatly improve the experience of watching the movie for its intended audience, which is people like me. In fact, the character flaws greatly contribute to one of the underlying themes of this movie. I mean, just think about the characters for a second. Rorschach is basically just a guy who's good at punching people, but seems to think that everything he says is from the voice of God. Dr. Manhattan, with the power he has, basically is God, but he's riddled with serious emotional problems, and under the pressure of the responsibility that comes with being so powerful, he's scared to do anything with it. The comedian is just a completely self-motivated sociopath who's been placed above the law. Ozymandias is similar, except instead of being self-motivated, he's motivated by utilitarian views, which ultimately leads to the film's ending, which, spoiler alert, has our heroes commit mass genocide. The fact that all the characters are flawed, and the ending which requires our heroes to kill millions because they think it's the morally best option, all comes together in demonstrating a theme that there is no perfect solution to anything. You can't solve a problem without creating a new one, whether that problem is a lack of power and in solving it you bring yourself a personality disorder, or that problem is extreme rising tensions between two superpowers and the only way you can see to solve it is by causing mass death. You can take it further too, by showing us all these people, all these characters, and calling them all heroes when they all have completely different views and different standpoints when it comes to ethics. By not including what you'd call a villain, but instead having just the heroes disagree with each other. It's all just a part of the film's message that right and wrong is a matter of perspective. There's no such thing as pure good, there's no such thing as pure bad, all you have is different people's perspectives.
You're locked in here with me!
Excellent demonstration of power, but still, did you have to do it on French Fry Day?
One of the best one-liners of all time and no sin removed. Come on.
Having delivered the fire survivors to a vacant lot behind a tall fence, the two superheroes fly off to f each other's brains out.
While what you said was definitely accurate, I don't see why that's a problem with the movie.
No, seriously, not sure if they were going for it, but movie definitely wins Weirdest Sex Scene of the Decade award. And this movie came out the same decade as storytelling.
Jeremy clearly hasn't seen Teeth. Now, don't get me wrong, not having seen Teeth definitely isn't a sin. Don't watch Teeth. But if he had seen Teeth, he would definitely know that this is not the weirdest sex scene of that decade.
All-out prison riot, and only this douchebag and his henchmen are after Rorschach? Not bloody likely, not after what we were told earlier, but whatever. Go on with your paint-by-numbers Rorschach escape.
No!
What did you expect, dude? Do you not know what Rorschach can do? Why is this such a shock?
These two sins were back to back. The first one was basically why aren't more people attacking Rorschach, and the second one was basically how could this dude be dumb enough to think that he could attack Rorschach and get away with it.
Some super owl dude just busted Rorschach out of prison.
Seeing What's-His-Face here has reminded me that what you're sinning here is the theatrical release of this movie. Why not sin the extended version? I want my Black Freighter sins, damn it!
Why bless you, Hollis.
Hollis calls Silk Spectre's mom, and suddenly 2.25 hours into this thing, we're suddenly supposed to care about the older generation of heroes in this film, who I thought were somewhere between useless filler and unnecessary backstory.
You thought that a movie that's about 3 hours long and had already been cut down dramatically for its theatrical release would have time to include something that would be classified as filler.
Ozymandias commits a mass murder, and yet the most puzzling thing in this scene is the sudden mythological rhino tiger hyena. What the f*** is this thing?
You think this is mass murder? Oh, just you wait.
Humanity's savage nature will inevitably lead to global annihilation.
Oh, hi there, Ultron. You're about a decade early.
This movie had a character that thought this. That movie had a character that thought this. That's a sin.
1 million.
Sins! Audio editing. It's my speciality, you know. Are you a fan of this wonderful backing music? Well then click the annotation on screen to go listen to it. Alternatively, click the other annotation to go watch the original Sins video. Or click the other annotation to check out more Sins videos.